welcome to chapter 2, 3, and 4 of Nightstorm's story. Let's get started. Chapter 2, Extermination. Tonight's news of half the world isn't ruined by a creature that calls himself Nightstorm. He has already wiped out all military and any other defense that we have. Run. Run and hide for your lives. None of us are safe. We're all going to die. We're sorry, but we're having some technical difficulties. We'll be back later. 4 days later, the entire world is nothing but a giant graveyard. Nightstorm throws the last living human off a cliff and laughs. It was a portal and goes through it. In Equestria, Luna's eyes shoot open. My son, she says. The sky in Equestria turns black as night and the moon comes up. What the heck? It's still day. Why is the moon up? Twilight says. Dark mist enters Ponyville. Ponies run into their houses out of fear. Twilight opens her door. What the heck is going on? Dark mist? Night at day? Mist like this. This is reminding me of... Her eyes go wide as Nightstorm appears in the mist. Nightmare Moon, she says. Nightstorm smiles. Correction. Her son. And no elements are stopping me. With his hand at her, darkness shoots out of the dark mist and into her chest and out her back. Her eyes are wide and black blood comes out of her mouth. For Twilight, everything goes in slow motion as Nightstorm turns Ponyville into a bloodbath. Ponies cry out in pain and for help. Little fillies and colts die. Others are forced to kill their own parents, and by Nightstorm. Or the parents are forced to kill their own children by him, and are killed themselves. Nightstorm also to Twilight. I wanted to make sure that you lived long enough to see this. He's to the side and Pinky is behind him. Huh. How did I get here? She says. Pinky, Twilight says. Nightstorm taps Pinky's forehead and smiles at Twilight. Pinkie starts shaking violently as darkness goes through her bloodstream. Black cuts appear all over her body, pouring black blood. Black blood pours out of her eyes, mouth, nose, ears, vagina, and flank. Twilight's eyes are wide as she watches it unfold. She starts foaming at the mouth and shakes more and more till finally she falls over dead. Her body stops shaking. Her blank, dead, now green eyes staring at Twilight. Well, greener. Tears come out of Twilight's eyes. She falls over dead. Hope you enjoyed the show, Sparkle. You really sparkle now, don't you? All that black blood all over you. He laughs and walks away. Nightstorm walks to Fluttershy's cottage and kicks the door open. Yeep! She hides behind her couch. Angel hops up to Nightstorm and kicks him. Darkness enters his bloodstream and he falls over shaking. Nightstorm says, and so to Fluttershy's couch and smiles at her. Please, leave me alone, she says. I got a much better idea. He says the darkness cuts through the couch and Nightstorm pushes both sides apart and walks up to Fluttershy. Ah! She screams. For you, I'll make it as slow as possible. He kicks her into the wall. She screams. Nightstorm grabs her head and pushes it more and more up against the wall. She cries out in pain and fear. On Earth, at Village High School's roof, David's eyes slowly open. Fluttershy, he says. Back to Equestria. Nightstorm pulls his hand back. Let's end this. Nightstorm's eyes go wide. What? David has appeared in front of Fluttershy. His eyes silver, his hair light blue and yellow, light blue clothes and light blue wings coming out of his back. He catches Nightstorm's hand. Leave her alone, he says. Nightstorm pulls his hand free. You're not dealing with Thunderstorm or Jacob, boy. I'll kill you, he says. Kill me if you want, but don't touch her, David says. I'll kill you both. He kicks David out of the cottage and across the ground. That's when grabs Fluttershy and pulls her over to him and digs his sharp teeth into her neck. Her eyes go wide and she screams. He bites down more and more till her screams stop. He lifts his teeth and lips and says, "Tastes so good." He throws her body aside and says, "Now for the rest of the trash." The ground explodes as magic comes out from underneath it. "I'll kill you," Dave says. Oh, my bad. "I'll kill you," David says. "Sorry." Nightstorm yawns. "I don't have time for this." David flies at him and says, "Why are you doing this?" Nightstorm's eyes go into an insane look. "You want to know why? You want to know why? I'll tell you why." He dodges David's attack. "Because Jacob was always nice and kind to people. And what did he get? All he ever got was friends. Nothing more. And whenever it went past friends, it didn't last long. Why am I doing this? Because all the secret anger and hate that Jacob held inside for so long. Because he's such a nice guy, he just let himself die inside for his friends. Just to make them happy, he'd say anything even if it hurt him. Even if it meant holding in his true feelings and dying for not getting them out. I'm born from that. I'm what all of you did to him. I'm your fault and many others." He says. "What?" David says. Someone throws his hand up into the air. Darkness shoots up, engulfing David till his entire body is completely burned away in darkness. "I am vengeance. I am darkness. I am the Nightstorm that lays in wait for your weak heart to give in, and let me take control." End of chapter 2. Chapter 3. The Rain Begins. Nightstorm walks back into Fluttershy's cottage and finds a picture of the rest of the main six. He smiles. "What beautiful targets. It's a shame they have to die." He drops the picture and walks out of Fluttershy's front door and looks at all the animals. "But first," a few minutes later, Fluttershy stops a few feet away from Fluttershy's cottage. A bloodbath of animals lay in front of her. Fluttershy's cottage in ruin. "Oh no," she says. She runs into Fluttershy's cottage. "Fluttershy! Are you here?" She screams, and then bumps her hoof on something and looks down and screams and jumps backwards. Angel's lifeless body lies in front of her, lying in a pool of black blood. "Oh my gosh, Angel! Fluttershy!" She runs through the cottage looking for her and then stops when she sees some blood coming out from behind a hole in Fluttershy's wall. She walks up to it. She puts her hoof over her mouth and says, "Fluttershy." Tears go down her cheeks. "No," she says. A voice says, "How nice of you to join the party, Applejack." Applejack turns around and Nightstorm stands behind her. He smiles at her. "Who are you?" Applejack says. Nightstorm laughs. "My name is Nightstorm, and I'm the one who did all this, little mare," he says. You did this. But why? Why did you kill Flutter and do all of this?" she says. "Oh, Fluttershy isn't my first victim. My first victim was that other friend of yours. What was her name? Oh yeah, Twilight Sparkle," he says. "How could you? I'll kill you!" She runs at Nightstorm. Nightstorm smiles. "I just love it when their anger gets the best of them. I also got your pink friend, whatever her name was," he says. "Ah!" Applejack screams. Nightstorm laughs as he dodges Applejack's attacks with ease. He sends 3 of his sharp black feathers on his wing through her chest and out her back. Her eyes go wide. she says. Look into the light and see your friends. See that they're not there because darkness has consumed their souls, and now you'll join them. He puts his wing out. She falls over dead. Blood coming out of her mouth. Darkness starts going into her body, healing the wounds on her. Nightstorm smiles. I have a wonderful idea for your body, he says. At Sweet Apple Acres. Applejack! Sis! Where are you? She says. Applejack appears in the distance walking towards Apple Bloom. Apple Bloom lights up. Sis, there you are! She runs to Applejack and has her hoof. Applejack pulls out a knife. I'm happy to see you too, sis. She pushes Apple Bloom onto her back and starts stabbing her. Apple Bloom screams. Sis, what are you doing? Ah! Big Macintosh runs over and tackles Applejack. Apple Bloom lays on her back, bleeding from all the stabs and crying. Big Macintosh slowly falls over. The knife sticking out of where his heart is. Apple Bloom's eyes go wide. Applejack stands up and pulls the knife out and walks over to Apple Bloom. Sis, why? I thought you loved me. Why are you doing this? She tabs Apple Bloom over and over till she stops screaming and moving. She walks into the house and finds Granny Smith in the kitchen. Why, hello there, Applejack. Can you help me with these confounded contractions? Granny Smith says. She stabs Granny Smith in the back of the head. She falls down dead. The knife sticking out the back of her head. Darkness leaves Applejack's body and it falls over. The wounds reappear. The darkness returns to Nightstorm. He stands where Apple Bloom's and Big Mac's bodies are. He smiles at them both and laughs. At Rainbow Dash's cloud house. Dashy? A voice says. Rainbow Dash turns around and sees Thunderstorm standing behind her. He smiles at her warmly. Thunderstorm, she says, and goes over and hugs him. I missed you so much. Tears go down her cheeks. He wraps his wings around her and says, I missed you too, Dashy. Very much. He gets to the top of her head. It feels so good to hold you again, he says. It feels good to be in your house again. You feel so warm. She looks up at him and they kiss. Gentle smiles at her with his kind red eyes. Do you have any new Daring Do books? He says. Oh yeah, I'll show you. She goes to her books. Thunderstorm stands up and smiles. His eyes turn into Nightstorm's eyes. Good. Have you finished it? He says. Yep, I'm just waiting for the next one to come out. It's not due for a while though. Man, where did I put it? I really wish I was more organized like Twilight. Nightstorm turns completely into himself. You're just fine the way you are. Dash blushes and smiles. Thanks, Thunder. I love you. Her body falls in half. And I'm sure he loves you. Too bad he's not here anymore. He walks out of her cloud house. Let's see. Twilight, Pinkie Pie, Fluttershy, Applejack, and now Rainbow Dash. He smiles. That just leaves one more. Rarity. End of Chapter 3. Chapter 4. Needlepoint. One second, please. Having some technical difficulties. Sorry about that. Okay. At Rarity's Boutique. Sweetie Belle, be a dear and fetch me some more purple thread, please. Rarity says. Okay, she says, and runs off. She goes past Nightstorm. Nightstorm smiles. Have fun getting that thread. he says, and walks into the room that Rarity is in. Rarity looks up at him and screams, "Changeling!" she says. "I'm not a changeling. Do these look like bug wings to you?" he says. "Well, no." Nightstorm walks up to her. Then what are you?" she says. "I'm a Nightmare Moon State." Rarity's eyes go wide. Nightmare Moon State?" He grabs one of her sewing needles and makes it as long as a sword with magic and throws the back of it at the wall. It sticks it into the wall. Nightstorm picks her up. "With you, all of the elements of harmony shall be consumed in darkness," he says. "What?" He throws her at the needle and it goes through her chest. She says as blood comes out of her mouth and slides down her body onto the floor. Slowly her head drops. Her eyes go blank and lifeless. Nightstorm walks out of the room. Sweetbelle runs up. "Oh, hi. Who are you?" she says. He opens his hand and grabs her neck. What are you doing?" She starts shaking violently as darkness enters her bloodstream. Dark cuts appear on her body and black blood pours out. She opens her mouth to scream, but nothing comes out. Black blood comes out of her ears, eyes, mouth, vagina, and flank. Nightstorm lets go of her and walks away. She falls over, shaking more and more, her horrified and wide, pain-filled eyes searching for any kind of help. Nightstorm leaves Rarity's boutique and smiles. "That makes the entire main season 2 of the Cutie Mark Crusaders." "What about the Cutie Mark Crusaders?" a voice says. "Huh?" Nightstorm says, and turns around and sees Schoolies behind him. He smiles. The death of the girl and Rainbow Dash go through his head. "My little girl," he says. "Why did you say that? You're not my dad." "Thunderstorm is," she says. "Oh, but I am your dad." He turns into Thunderstorm. "See? Come here, baby girl. Daddy wants to hug you. He misses you." He smiles warmly at her. Schoolie takes one step forward. No, you're not my dad. You're some kind of changeling. Get away from me." She turns around to run, but Thunderstorm is there in front of her. Her eyes go wide. Thunderstorm turns back into Nightstorm. "I guess you're not as dumb as your mother," he says. "Mother? You mean Rainbow Dash? What did you do to Rainbow Dash? What did you do to my mother?" she yells. "Oh, nothing, sweetie. She's right here." Rainbow Dash comes out from behind a tree and says, "Hey, kid. What's up?" Schoolie smiles. "Rainbow Dash." She runs to her. Dark mist fills the area around them. Nightstorm smiles. Rainbow Dash opens her hooves and they hug. Tears go down Schoolie's cheeks. "I missed you," she says. "I missed you too." Rainbow Dash says, "Ow! You're hugging me too tight. Ow! Stop it!" The sound of her bones cracking goes through the air. Schoolie's eyes go wide and she screams. Nightstorm laughs. The sound of her bones breaking goes through the air. Her head drops onto Rainbow Dash's chest, her lapis eyes staring into Rainbow Dash's fur. Rainbow Dash turns into dark mist and blends into the rest of the mist. Schoolie's body hits the ground. The mist goes away. Nightstorm also to her body. He kicks it and sends it across the ground and says, "Worthless trash." He looks up at Princess Celestia's and Princess Luna's castle. "Now for the main event," he says on Schoolie's body as he walks towards Canterlot. He thinks, "I am the son of Nightmare Moon. Her blood runs through my veins as well as the blood of my father, the Dark Pony King. I shall do what both wanted." Bring eternal night to Equestria, and bring Equestria to its knees. Here I come, Mother and Auntie. I'm back. End of chapter 4. Thanks for coming back. Thanks for listening, and see you next time.